It occurred to me the other day that wine glasses are a lot like football players in that usually the more spectacular they are, the higher the chances of them ending up broken, rolling around on the floor while someone stands nearby looking embarrassed saying, "It wasn't me." Also, you usually end up paying far more for them than they're worth, usually through some distorted worldview perpetuated by a Russian oil magnate or bad science. In the case of wine glasses, an example of bad science is the tongue nap. We all know the tongue nap, right? Because it's like sweet at the front, sour on the sides, bitter at the back, salty in the middle. But you know what's weird? If you take salt and you put it on the tip of your tongue, do you know what you taste? Salt. It's not like you all of a sudden taste sweetness, because that's the sweet part, right? Because you can't make salt taste sweet just by putting it on the tip of your tongue. Because we now know that the tongue has about 5 types of taste buds and they're all scattered all over the tongue. So we can kind of ignore that. But for hundreds of years, people didn't. In fact, they did the opposite. They began to design wine glass shapes that would allow the wine to flow onto the exact correct part of your tongue, which we now know is kind of just the correct part is your tongue. If you get the wine onto your tongue, you're usually off to a good start. But just because that was bogus science doesn't mean all science is bad, right? So we do have some fantastic Japanese folk with real science degrees who are living and not fictional. And they've done these fascinating experiences with luminol solution and cameras with filters on, and they take photos of glasses and show how a number of factors affect how aromas gather in the glass, right? So the correct bowl shape allows aromas to gather in the middle of the glass and ethanol to gather around the edge, but it doesn't hold true for all temperatures. If you serve it at 13 or 16 degrees, you're all good. You've got your aromas gathering where you can then get your nose in there and smell them all. But if you heat your wine up to 20 degrees or 24 degrees, all of a sudden your lovely gathering of aromas goes out the window. Well, not literally out the window, but instead of gathering in the middle, they kind of are all mixed around the ethanol and the aromas together, and you lose some of the nuance. So serving temperature is super important. But you know what else is important? Is wine. Don't skip on what you put in the glass, because if you put in something that has notes of small pygmy poodle and rusty nails, chances are whether you put it into this or a boot, it's still going to smell of pygmy, poodle, and nail aromas. So don't skimp on the wine. But where does that leave us with the Spiegelau Wine Lovers range, which is I was sent to play around with, and it seems to me that it's actually a beautiful middle ground, because when most of us are buying wine glasses, right, what we want is maximum sexiness with minimum kind of financial anxiety when we realize that Uncle Bubkiss is coming for dinner and you're worried that he's going to have another seizure and destroy your entire glass set. So you want to watch what you spend, but you still want to have a great looking piece of glassware. And I feel like the Spiegelau Wine Lovers range is kind of in that mid-range. It's about 70 Rand a glass. You've got your Bordeaux, your Burgundy, your white glass, all various bowl sizes. All of them do come with a polished lip, laser cut. And considering how resilient they are, they're very fine in construction, which is really what I want from a glass. Now, the one thing that is to consider, even though Jancis Robinson herself says she's happy to drink any wine from any glass, if you are trying to, for example, cut down your drinking, crazy, I know, serving a single portion in a Burgundy glass may not be the best option, whereas serving that exact same size portion in a far smaller white wine glass may make it feel a little more formidable. Mind games, but when you're trying to cut down on your wine, you need all you can get, right? So one thing you can feel free to do, and you can take your liberty from Jancis herself, is feel free to drink a big heavy red from a small white wine glass